order the Tuesday, January 29th, 2013 school board meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Colella?
Here.
Mr. Dowdell? Here. Mr. Drake?
Here.
Mr. McGuff?
Here.
Mr. McMasters?
Here.
Mr. St. Ledger? Mr. Tomarello?
Here.
Mrs. White is absent, and Mr. Zucco.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. The board met in executive session on January 8th, January 15th, January 22nd, January 28th, and this evening, January 29th, to discuss matters of personnel, negotiation, and student confidentiality.
Approval of minutes. Recommend approval of the following meeting minutes: December 18th, regular board meeting; January 8th, special voting meeting; Education Committee and Policy Committee meeting; January 15th, Transportation Committee, Facilities Committee, and discussion session; January 16th, Intergovernmental Committee; January 22nd, Finance Committee, and the January 28th, special voting meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our first student feature is the volleyball team.
Thank you. As Mr. Drake said, tonight we are honoring the girls volleyball team. Just a couple snippets about the team this season. Under Coach Corey Flaherty, the team went with a record of 10-5 and qualified for the WPIAL playoffs. Unfortunately, they lost, but they lost to the eventual champion, Mount Lebanon. When it comes to academics, 21 of the 25 members of the team earned honor roll, and 18 of them were 3.5 GPA or above, so that's something to be proud of. Without further ado, Coach Flaherty.
Good evening. Members of the board, I appreciate the opportunity to come here tonight and present members of the Plum girls volleyball team after a remarkable season. A lot of the highlights that I wanted to share were already shared. I'm very, very proud about the academic achievements, first and foremost. We also managed to put together a pretty impressive season with a 9-3 section record, 10-5 overall record, which included that loss to the eventual WPIAL champion Mount Lebanon. We added tougher competition to the schedule in both section and in tournament play this year. And despite the tougher schedule and losing some of our key players to graduation last season, the girls did a great job in combining a senior leadership and a good group of young up-and-coming talent that stepped in as key contributors this season. We were successful in winning our Plum tournament for the 7th time in 8 seasons. That's something we're proud of every season. And most importantly, like we mentioned before, the academic achievements. So I'd like to honor, I have a few of the young up-and-coming talent and some of the leadership, senior leadership that's here this season. First and foremost, we have Denise Polishin. She's a senior. We have Katie McDade, second team all-section member. Maria Doherty, second team all-section. Clarissa Hankinson, a freshman, second team all-section. We have a few members that were unable to join tonight. Courtney Zeza is a sophomore. She's a first team all section. Rachel Satira, also a sophomore, earned first team all-section honors. And one of our captains, Alyssa Samarco, a senior, also earned first team all-section honors. Thank you.
By tradition, we ask the seniors to tell us what they're planning on doing after they graduate.
Hi, I'm Maria Doherty, and I plan on going to Penn State New Kensington and major in biology.
Good.
Hi, I'm Denise Polishin, and I plan on going to CCAC for a year and then transferring to Slippery Rock for majoring in elementary education.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Caitlin McDade, and I plan on going to either Pitt or Penn State University, and I'm undecided.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is for the Plum Chamber of Commerce.
The Plum Chamber of Commerce sponsored a Jingle Books fundraiser for our elementary libraries, and I'd like to read off the list of participating local businesses and individuals who contributed their time at the Saturday event held at King's Restaurant on 286. Cafe Lola, Bill's Hometown Pharmacy, Fox's Pizza, Holiday Park Apartments, Uncle Buckle's Bar and Grill, Bella One Florist, Bottom Dollar Foods, Nesbitt's Lanes, Citizens Banks, Amish Accents, Grazinger Homes Incorporated, Joanne's Hallmark, Sam's Club, S&T Bank, Tressler Chiropractic, King's, Erie Insurance, the Hetzinger family, Oak Tree College Planning, Minutemen Press, and Kemususus. And I apologize. We have with us today from King's Family Restaurant, Bill Earhard, and the coordinator for the Chamber of Commerce, Denise Renard, and I'd like to welcome them up here. And also just a brief comment that we truly do appreciate all that you've done for our students and our community, and we hope that our community continues to patronize your establishments. So thank you in advance.
So on behalf of the board, we'd like to present the Plum Chamber of Commerce with this certificate of commendations for contributions to the Plum Borough School District Elementary Library.
We're very excited at the Plum Chamber to have Plum Borough School District as a member and as part of our membership. We're very excited today as well, along with King's, to present you a check for $550 for your elementary school libraries.
On behalf of Mr. King, Hartley King, and the employees at King's, and partnering with the Chamber, it was just a great event that got put together very quickly. To have the school district's support of the business, it was definitely appreciated, and we hope to do many more partnerships.
Thank you again.
Okay, at this time, we'll entertain, well, first of all, if there's any students that feel they need to leave to do homework or study, we'll give you a minute or two. Okay, at this time, we're entertaining citizen comments on agenda items. Citizen comments on agenda items. If you could state your name and address.
Walter Coman, Tivoli Road, Holiday Park. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm also an officer of Amalgamated Transit Union 1595. I see on the agenda tonight the discussion of a substitute driver incentive program. Paying incentives to hire substitute drivers while still holding up settlement of the driver's contract is insulting to loyal employees who've served this district well for many years. Mr. Mergen has told the committee repeatedly that he has a waiting list of subs who will sign up as soon as a contract is settled with the drivers, giving these subs a reasonable opportunity at eventual employment with the district, not an undesirable independent contractor. I believe this is another example of the kind of short-sighted thinking that has plagued this whole process. It won't save the district any money. It will cost them way more money going forward. I think we've demonstrated that. And I'd like you to consider that as you consider this proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional citizen comments on agenda items? Citizen comments on non-agenda items?
Hi, good evening. I'm Susan Doyle. I'm the president of the Council of PTA, and we would just like to take a moment tonight to thank the school board for all that they do for the district. And in recognition of all of their service to the district, we are donating $100 to the Plum Community Library in their name. Okay, so thank you for all that you do.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments on non-agenda items?
Good evening. My name is John Peffer, 513 Presque Isle Drive. I am here tonight as a parent of Plum High School football, and I'm coming here on behalf of Coach Sacco and a group of people that have come in support of that as well. I want to let you know that Coach Sacco is by far the best candidate you're going to find for this position. I've been around this program a long time, and as far as knowledge of football, number one, he has it, and I've gotten that from several outside sources way outside of the district. As far as being great for the kids and knowing how to deal with the kids, you're not going to find a better person. Frank is the type of coach that I want my kid to play for. My kid is in 9th grade, moving to 10th grade. I want him to be the coach here with his staff. And he's the type of coach. He's from Plum. He grew up here. He played here. He has unbelievable amount of pride in this job, in this community, which you're not going to find. The amount of time and dedication that is put in is unmatched. It really is. It would have been very easy. Everybody can look in the mirror on this. It would have been extremely easy after 2 years ago, after last year, to walk away. He's not walking away. He was coming after last year, full intention, coming back, facing this thing head on and moving forward, just like he teaches his kids to take tough challenges and face them head on. That's the kind of coach he is. That's the kind of coach I want coaching my kid. And I will tell you one thing. He definitely is not doing this for the money. That's for sure. He's a very dedicated person and a dedicated coach. And we had a group of people come here tonight, players, past players, coaches, parents, citizens, come in support of him, and there's many more too that couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately. But this group here has all come in support, and there are more behind that. And I just want you all to look at this whole situation as it played out. Do the right thing here and bring him back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Nick Paparaki. I'm a sophomore here at the school. I've played under Coach Sacco on the football team for the last 2 years. And I just came here to say a few words about what I think about Coach Sacco and kind of respect that I have for him. I've been playing football since I was in 5th grade, and since then I've been under a lot of good programs. I went to St. John the Baptist School, and I played for the St. Bart's Bruins. We had a really good program there, and our coaches were really good mentors, past just the game of football, and they really teach you a lot about life. And those are men that I'll always appreciate and always love for what they did to me. But by far, I've always had a greater appreciation for what Coach Sacco has done and the kind of man that he's been to all of us. And I'm not only a big supporter of Coach Sacco, but I'm a big supporter of all the coaches that he has with him. And I believe 100% in what he teaches us, and not only in football, but in life. And I really appreciate the kind of things that he does at practice and games, to people that ask him questions about the team, even though we haven't had the kind of seasons the past couple years that we've wanted or that we felt we could accomplish. He's always stood by us, and he's always believed in us. And I believe 100% that Coach Sacco is the man for the job, and that there's nobody else who is qualified as him, and that he could have easily gone somewhere else at any moment in time, but he's here because he loves to be here, and he loves the people that he coaches. And I support him 100%, and I just wanted to say that no matter what happens, that he has a large group of players and his assistant coaches that support him and believe in him, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. And it really doesn't matter what people that are in the stands or people that read the newspaper on Saturday mornings and see the score. It really doesn't matter what they think. It's what his players who are there every day at practice and the parents of the kids. And as you just saw, the parents of the kids who play for Coach Sacco support Coach Sacco. And he's a great man. And I just wanted to say those things about Coach Sacco because we all appreciate him and we want him back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Antonio Marasco, and I'm going into my senior year with Coach Sacco. I've played football all throughout high school, and I've been under Coach Sacco since my sophomore year. And I've come to tell you guys the experiences that I've had with Coach Sacco as a player. I would tell you that Coach Sacco, no matter what the circumstances were throughout the whole entire season, he always told us to stay together, no matter what. And he's a great coach. You know, he's taught me how to become a man. And you know, we haven't had the seasons that we would like to have, but we really, you know, have learned a lot from him. And he's a great coach, and no one else could fit the position that he and his staff have right now. They do a great job, but you can't always blame the coaches either. It's also on the players. And you know, we're not the biggest team in the Whippules right now in Quad A, and we're in a tough division, but we have to work hard, and all that blame can't go on Coach Sacco. Like I said, he's a great coach. He's taught me a lot of lessons throughout my high school career as a football player, and I just want to let you guys know, please, you know, think long and hard about the decisions you're going to make about changing coaches, because he and his staff have done a great job, and not all the blame should be put on them. And he's done great things. I mean, not many people see that. You know, our team this year experienced a lot of heartache, and a lot of stuff has been said to us in the schools and outside of the schools, but they've told us, our coaches have told us, you just got to let it go. You got to prove these people wrong. And I could tell you right now, this offseason, us as players are working hard to change this season coming up. And we're going to do whatever we can to improve this program, no matter what. It's a tough thing for the whole team, not just the coaches, not just the players. It's everybody. We're a family. And I just want to let you guys know, please take in consideration of thinking long and hard before you make this decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
Gentlemen and ladies of the board, my name is Mark Papilli. I graduated here in Plum in '76. I was very fortunate all through my junior high and high school years here to get a good education. I ended up as the only mining engineer in West Virginia that actually had a football scholarship. I also played for 2 undefeated teams in junior high under a guy named Coach Wayne German, who just passed. And when we came into the high school, we were a little concerned because Central Catholic wanted me to come down there and play for them even way back then. They're doing a pretty prominent job, but a good job of that now, taking about 3 to 5 of our kids almost every year. And I wanted to stay with my buddies, even though the football coach at that time, I think, won 1 game. His name was Nonchek, and his assistants were John and Pat Ratesic. Something seemed to happen. I don't know whether it was the guys, whether it was the coaches, but there was a certain culture in Plum, and that culture wanted to win in sports, whether it be wrestling, whether it be basketball with Terlinsky, wrestling was Klaus and Cromer, whether it was baseball. We had good baseball teams even back then. It didn't matter, and I think we even, Coach Larko, I played for him his first year. Volleyball started back then. But my question is, we moved back up here about 5, 6 years ago because I wanted my boys to come to Plum, go to Plum, not only for the education but also for the sports. And what I found when I came back was I found a pretty decent baseball team. I found a basketball coach that was winning and then not coaching anymore, and now he's coaching again. And I find a totally different culture among the school system, the leadership, and this culture didn't seem to want to do whatever it takes to win in the sports arena. And I know there's a lot of arguments today about is winning everything. I got a chance to coach with Bill Ramito when I came back. I think Coach Ramito has been coaching about 33 to 35 years. He's been the head football coach here for 16 years. 2, 3 years ago, the board was in the same position, and they decided that, we need a different coach because Coach Ramito had lost a couple games. At that time, Coach Sacco became your man. And now here we are again, looking for taking applicants because Coach Sacco has had a losing season or 2. And I coached for Coach Ramito, I coached with Coach Kachurik here, the 9th grade, and I coached for Coach Sacco in the last couple of years. This last year I did not coach. But I try to put myself in your position, and I ask myself, what does it take to win here anymore in football? I realize it's a kind of a tough call because the easiest thing to do is replace the coach. I mean, that's the guy you look at first. I remember a coach I had in college, we didn't like him too much because he was all business. And now he's got a couple national championships at Alabama. Nick Saban was our coach, but one thing I learned from Nick was it's got to be a culture. It's got to be everybody on the same page. Even Coach Signetti would instruct his sons, who the one is up at Indiana, the other one is over at Rutgers, I think, that you got to have the president on your side. So at every level in sports, there's got to be teamwork, there's got to be cooperation, there's got to be an attitude, a culture for that particular sport. And it's got to be a culture that we're going to win. You look at some of these other winning programs, whether it's Upper St. Clair, Gateway, and there's some people in Plum that are a lot smarter than me that know how to build these cultures. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything about how to build a winning culture. But what I've seen since I've come back is the culture is not here. The dedication, the commitment is not here for winning football at Plum. Now, I don't know if that means we should just shut it down. I think the fact that you're here taking applications, I think you're saying, well, we do want to win because we're not happy with a one-win season or a no-win season. That encourages me a little. But, 3 years ago, Frank Sacco was the man. Now, all of a sudden, we're taking applications again. Maybe we need to redirect and look at, is it the coach in this case? It wasn't the coach in 1973 when Coach Nonchek went 1 or 2 wins, and the year before that, because about a year or two after that, we started winning conferences. There were guys going to Division I football, and then Morrow came in and they won, and we still had the same coaches here just recently with Ramito, Coach Saka, and Coach Kachurik that we had back then. So, it's a tough. I don't know what you all look at when it comes to deciding, which applicant best fits the program here. I hope you keep as a priority winning, because winning does make a difference in the children's lives as they go through life, okay? Competing is important, yes. Doing your best is important, and winning is important. Now, maybe you don't have to win a championship every year, but yeah, we don't want to be considered and tagged losers, because we're not. Everybody goes out and works hard. Sometimes you work even harder, and maybe you need to work harder when you lose more. But at the same time, we need to start building and looking at a culture again, like we did back in the 70s and the 80s and those eras. Baseball, I know that you understand that. I think Coach Richards understands that. He's always out recruiting guys in the schoolhouse, telling guys, hey, I put guys in college playing basketball. Well, when I was here 2 years ago, I think I counted 11 or 13 seniors went on to play college football somewhere. They're still playing today. And I think we won 6 games that year, 2-3 years ago. So my question to you is, when you ask the applicants, what are you going to do different than Coach Ramito has done, than Coach Saka has done? My question to you, the board, the school district, the Boosters Club, the midget program, what are you guys going to do different to help this program? Assuming we're all on the same page and we want to turn this thing around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
Yes, my name is Chris Nowicki of 311 Thornwood Drive. I also am in support of Coach Saka. Being a high school football coach myself outside this district, I understand the importance of putting a program together and having a winning season and a winning attitude. But I do believe that Coach Sacco does instill these things in these boys. My son is now a sophomore. He began playing in 7th grade. And I've seen a progression in him over the past 3 or 4 years, and I'm sure you could talk to a lot of these other parents, that I do attribute to Coach Sacco and his staff. They do have confidence, and they do have a feeling of being a family. And in football and in most areas of life, not just athletics, that's a very important thing. And when you're part of a team, you have to be able to look at your leaders and feel as though they are there for you, and they love you, and they will support you. And I do believe that Coach Sacco does these things for these boys. And again, I understand it's a tough call to make. You look at a couple of seasons, 0-9, 1-8, and you say, well, something has to change. Well, I do believe something has to change. However, I think if you take 2 and 3 years and decide that, okay, this is not our man, you really haven't given him a fair shot. And you really haven't given his staff a fair shot. I've experienced 0-9 seasons myself as part of a football staff, as I explained to you before, And we've turned that season around, and we've done things that, I feel are remarkable, and I'm very proud of my boys for doing. And I'm sure Coach Sackler, if he were here, would tell you the same, or Coach Cooper would tell you the same thing, who is here. And again, I just want to let you know that I think Frank is the man for this job, and please give him that chance.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening. Doug Martin, 3826 Logan's Ferry Road. I'll try to be brief as possible. I'm also here for support for Coach Sacco. A couple quick things. John spoke of first. He grew up here, he played high school football here. I did the same. I was born and raised in Plum. And the other gentleman's comments, I think that's where the pride in the program is. And that's where Frank Sacco comes to play here. He played Plum High School football. I was fortunate to have the opportunity to watch him play. Phenomenal athlete. He went on to the collegiate level. He has set records in college football. But above and beyond that, what kind of person are we talking about? What is the definition of success? Is it 9-0? Is it 10-0? I think the way you guys look at things would be similar to grades in school. We would want everybody to have straight A's, but in reality, it's not going to happen. You're going to have better years, up years, down years, depending on what you have coming through the system. But bottom line is, you got a coach that's teaching life lessons. I think he's on the right track there. Respect, discipline, as some of these fine young men spoke on earlier. We have a neighboring community that's been in the news here, without bringing up any names. Somebody walked away from the program over losing half of his salary, and he's still probably getting 3 or 4 times what Coach Sacco is getting. So obviously it's not about the money, but it's the commitment. You know, he's giving back to a community. That is where the pride is. Does he want to be there in that position with a bad season or a losing season? No, nobody does. But I don't think he's had a fair amount of time. He is in the toughest conference. We can go through all that. I think everybody's aware of that. But, you know, there's another young man I got to go through this program with, and he's NFL coach Mike Miller. And I've had Coach Mike Miller in contact with Frank Sacco personally. I've had him talk to some of these few young men. A couple of these guys might have been here a few years ago, might have got the opportunity. And I tell you, and Mike Miller come away with, was very, very impressed with Coach Sacco. He didn't know him. I wanted to get that relationship started a little bit, and he was very impressed. And Mike's a very good judge of character. And they've been in contact several times since then. And those are the kind of relationships and things you want to build and you can carry on with. But without being too lengthy, I think, you know, it really need to look long and hard at this, and is winning the definition of success is the bottom lines I want to get at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
Hi there. My name is Jim Kachorik, 9046 Oak Street in Renton. Longtime resident. For some people up there to know me, I've coached sports here, volunteered all my life. I have over 20 years at Plum. I'm a PIAA baseball official, so I get around to all the schools in the WPAL. And being an official, I talk to a lot of other officials that are football officials that do baseball. And they tell me, you know, Jim, if you just had a little bit more size, you know what I mean? The coaching, what these kids get is unbelievable. You were always in games, maybe not this year, but you know something? I came back, Coach Sacco asked me, the school district, since we had some money problem, eliminated some coaches. Coach Sacco asked me if I had any time to volunteer to help out the 9th grade program. I've been on, the last 2 years, I took a job with U.S. Steel and working 6 days, 12-hour days. Knowing Coach Sacco, I did it. I'd come home, get 3 hours sleep, just to help the 9th grade program out. And there is some great kids there, and they respond well. And they went 6-2. They went 6-2 because they had some good coaches, 9th grade, but they also ran Coach Sacco's system. It works. I've had 2 kids that come through this program, and Tom McGuff knows both of them, and they both were I'm proud of them. They both ended up with football scholarships. There's some young men in this here, Matt Harmon, Jake Buhouse, that played with my older son. They weren't the biggest kids in the world, but you know something, they played hard, defensive-wise. And it was because Coach Sacco pushed them and taught them the right things. When my kids got recruited for football, when the coaches came to the house, they complimented the coaching staff. They complimented Coach Ramito. They complimented Coach Sacco, the defense, how, you know, when we watched his game films, your kid hustles to the ball. It just wasn't my son, it was all the kids. And that's being taught by a coach. Both my kids are very successful now. They got a college education. But what's most of all, and I want to let you know this, my older son's 26, 27 years old now. Even when both of them were playing, Coach Sacco always had time to make a phone call and see how they were doing in college. And some of the other coaches here too. And that takes a special person. You know, I played in Plum, my dad played in Plum. You go back to the history of Plum football. Every coach almost won a championship. When old man Willie Ramito coached my dad, Billy Ramito, Abby Morrow, they had great seasons, but they also had some bad seasons. That does not make him a bad coach. And the only other thing that I hear, being a lifetime resident, you know, I heard Mark Papelli, I played against Mark. You know, it starts everywhere. It starts with the parents, it starts with the community. Everybody got to be on the positive note. You know, you're always going to hear gossip in the community. You know, I coached ninth grade for 15, 16 years, and I got asked to move up to varsity, but I love coaching the ninth graders. And trying to be a role model, trying to teach them, you know, I used to, stay away from the drugs. It's so easy, you know what I mean? Get good grades. It starts in ninth grade. It doesn't start in 10th or 11th grade. But everybody got to be positive. You know, I can remember coaching and hearing in the community, oh, you're not going to win this game. We're playing Woodland Hills. And then you got to go teach your kids all week to show them that you can win, and you do win. But everybody got to be positive, you know. But with Coach Sacco, you know something? He knows the X's and O's. He doesn't play favors. The best players play. And you know something? What's most impresses me with that young man is how he still interacts with all the football players after they graduate. You know, I've seen my son, when he had a problem, go to Coach Sacco. He always had time. Being a coach, you know, it takes a lot of time away from your family. It takes a heck of a lot of time away from your family. And I can remember at my son's senior banquet, you know, I'll be the first one that I was in tears, saying, you know something, he thanked me for coaching, but you know something, I wasn't always there for him at all when he needed it, but he understood that. And like I say, I heard Mr. Pfeffer say, you know something, it's not for the salary. You got to stick with a person who's the program. Yes, they didn't win much the last 2 years, but believe it or not, being an outsider, looking in now without no kids, this program is on the rise. Just everybody got to believe it. And you just can't take, you know, negativity. And a real quick story, you know, I can remember playing, one coach, Wayne German, told my dad, oh, your son was goofing around at practice. Well, my dad took me in the backyard and made me run at him a couple times. My dad was like 6'2", 290 pounds. He said, Mike, I didn't tell you to tackle your son, but he didn't make excuses. You know, if someone has a problem with Coach Sacco, sit down with him. Sit down what the reason is. Don't be afraid to talk to coaches. You know, I'm saying the school board, parents, everybody. No one's perfect. We all make mistakes. But you know something? If I had to do it again, I am so glad that Coach Sacco is the coach of Plum Mustang. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
Ladies and gentlemen on the board, my name is Thomas Bell. I'm at 1745 Low Block Road. I just want to talk a minute about Coach Sacco. I've known him since I was 10th grade in high school. I'm from Penn Hills. Coach Sacco is a man of character. A man of character, a man of honor. You know, you guys look at win and loss records, but you can look at each other. You're old enough to know. Everything you battle in life isn't a win. It isn't a loss. It isn't about the X and O's. You can already see he's a winner by looking at some of the kids up here and the things they've had to say. That's a winner. That's a winner. We don't win every game in life. We don't lose every game in life. It's about being able to sustain. A program is not given to you. You build a program. It's not built overnight. It's not built overnight. You take the time. You put your whole heart into it. You put your staff into it. You put your community into it. I think he's doing that. I think he's doing that. I think he has done that. The sacrifices that he's made at home to do this. There's more of a picture than just the win and losses. You need to take a hard look at it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for comments.
Hello, my name is Ed Paparocki. I'm at 402 Mower Drive in Plum, and thanks for the opportunity, by the way. All the personal testimonials that all the kids and the parents have talked about are certainly true. Our experience with Coach Sacco has been fantastic. I just want to kind of throw a few almost facts in front of you before you make your decision as well. So if you look at the younger kids, so like I've seen every game over the past 2 years, every varsity game. My son plays for the varsity as well as the JV. And literally, I mean, you could probably take in an NFL coach and coach that team, and the kids are trying really hard. They just didn't have the manpower to compete at that level, to accumulate a lot of wins at that level. I mean, it was pretty evident to see that. But if you look at these kids, so Friday night, everyone goes to the games, the lights are on, the kids are there, everybody's excited. Go to the games on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. The only people there are parents. Those kids really came out, and some of those games, these JV kids dominated those games. The Penn Hills game this year on the road, the JV team dominated that football game. Penn Hills might have had 5 or 6 first downs the whole game. And a funny comment, one of the Penn Hills kids said to my son Nick in the line as they were shaking hands after the game, your JV is better than your varsity. And my son responded to him, our JV is our varsity. And so, a lot of these kids are playing ahead of their time on the varsity literally because they just did not have the numbers. And so what I'll ask you to do is to look at the results of the JV team and look at the results of the freshman team. I mean, the JV team was 5-4 this year. They dominated Penn Hills. They dominated Cannon Mac. They beat Mount Lebanon, a lot of these really big schools. And so does that translate into success at the varsity level? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I think Coach Sacco has proven with his integrity and his coaching ability, I think he's proven that he earns an opportunity to coach in a situation where he's got the players. He's got the raw material to create a great product. Just a couple of years ago, he was a playoff coach. And he was a playoff coach because he had better numbers, better players, more players. And so I'm hoping that the board is encouraged by some of the players that are coming up. As someone just mentioned, the freshman team, they had a fantastic year. And the JV team, let me tell you, most of these kids played on the varsity on Friday nights, and many games they were dominated, just physically dominated. But I'll tell you what, less than 12 hours later, they came out with such enthusiasm and such pride in Plum, and they worked so hard, and they were so excited after those victories. They have the integrity that their coach has instilled in them. And I'll ask you to kind of consider those facts. So all the public testimonials about Coach Sacco's personality and his character, all true. But please look at the football facts as well. And I think that if Coach Sacco is given the opportunity to coach with players who have a culture of winning at those lower levels and can really portend success at the higher level, I think Coach Sacco can really do great things as well for the varsity, as these younger kids have done over the past couple of years. So again, thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I add one little word here?
Not during the public comment section. Any additional citizen comments on non-agenda items? Okay, then the agenda, please.
Facilities Committee, Mr. Shane McMaster's chair. Recommend approval to accept the following use of facilities applications as listed.
I'll make that recommendation.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to advertise for installation of ultraviolet technology equipment for the senior high swimming pool.
I'll make that recommendation.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend appointing Pennsylvania Soil and Rock Incorporated as a district's engineer for site design and permitting services for the new elementary school to be erected at 313 Holiday Park Drive at a compensation of $245,358 as set forth in Pennsylvania Soil and Rock's proposal for engineering services dated January 11, 2013. This motion is subject to approval of an agreement with Pennsylvania Soil and Rock Incorporated as to form by the school district solicitor.
I'll make that recommendation.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend retaining CDI Architects Group, LLC, DBA, LR Kimball, Architects and Engineers as the district's architect for the new elementary school to be erected at 313 Holiday Park Drive at a compensation rate of 3% of the total cost of work. The party shall enter into a written contract to be approved and adopted by the school board.
I'll make that recommendation.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend retaining Russo Construction Services as the district's consultant and on-site representative for the new elementary school to be erected at 313 Holiday Park Drive at a monthly compensation of $5,833.33 for the project's pre-construction and post-substantial completion phases and $9,800 during the project construction phase. This motion is subject to approval of an agreement with Russo Construction Services as to form by the school district solicitor.
I'll make that recommendation.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to name the new elementary school located at 313 Holiday Park Drive, Holiday Park Elementary School.
I'll make that recommendation.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to pay Pivot Construction invoices as presented.
I'll make that recommendation.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
The Facilities Committee on January 15, 2013. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 12, 2013 at 6 p.m. in the high school boardroom. Personnel Committee, Mr. Sal Colella, Chair. Recommend approval to accept the retirement of Don Andrews, school psychologist, effective January 31, 2013.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the retirement of David Summers, elementary band teacher, effective January 31, 2012.
I'll make that recommendation.
2013, my fault.
That's okay. I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the following retirements effective the first day after the last teacher workday of the 2012-13 school year. Martha Locks, Christine Pagula, Corey Dice, Kathy Wilkie, Terry Fisher, Julie Volp, Rosaline Schraub.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the retirement of Deborah A. Baker, bus driver, retroactive to December 31, 2012.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept retirement of Elizabeth Gazzo, bus driver, effective the end of the workday, February 15, 2013.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the resignation of Barbara Fox, food service worker at O'Block Junior High School, retroactive to January 4th, 2013.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to create a paraprofessional position at Center Elementary School, effective January 30, 2013.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend recalling the furloughed paraprofessionals, Patricia Grabowski, retroactive to January 4th, 2013. Marilyn Kretz, effective January 30th, 2013.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire Mandy Fabio as a food service worker at O'Block Junior High School, effective January 30th, 2013.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire Angela Naviglia as a substitute elementary guidance counselor, effective January 30th, 2013.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to amend the following maternity leaves: Nicole Litzinger, Tiffany Knuff, Amanda Durick, Christine Buswong.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to set the high school security staff compensation at $13.25 per hour with 4 personal days, effective July 1, 2013.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval of the following unpaid leaves in accordance with the Family Medical Leave Act: Sherry Klein, retroactive to January 11, 2013. Rochelle Dunn, retroactive to January 28, 2013 through April 1, 2013.
I'll make that recommendation to the board.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Education Committee. Mr. Joe Tomarella, Chair. Recommend approval of the following overnight conferences: Lindsay Lamb, Partnership for Assessment and Readiness for College and Career, Chicago, Illinois, February 25th through the 27th, 2013. Andrew Bronchi, orchestra teacher and 3 students, to Hollidaysburg for the Western Regional State Orchestra Festival, February 20th through 22nd, 2013.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept an agreement to our agreement with Epic Communications for an E-rate year 16, which is 2013-14.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the voluntary informal disposition for student A.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
The Education Committee met on January 8, 2013. Mr. Tomarella will make this report.
Thank you. Not much to report on tonight. It was another quick meeting, but the one thing that I did want to address is that we did talk about Kelly Services and the issues we've been having with them and some fill rates, and we did agree to address that issue. And I believe we're going to invite someone in from Kelly Services to talk about these issues. Other than that, I just want to thank the PTA for a great dinner that we had tonight. So that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 5th, 2013, immediately following the Policy Committee meeting in the high school boardroom. Finance Committee, Mr. Kevin Dowdell, Chair. Recommend approval of the Treasurer's Report and bill payments for December 2013 as presented.
I'd like to make that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Delinquent real estate taxes and fees collected by Andrews and Price for December 2013. Total amount collected, $136,450.21. Recommend approval to accept the January budget transfers as presented.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to exonerate Mr. Harry Schlegel, current real estate tax collector, for the 2012 uncollected property taxes in the amount of $1,199,071.04.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the restricted donation of $1,500 from the Regency Park PTA.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think this is designated to purchase some 6 smart boards for the schools.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Kevin, I
No.
think that was for the equipment to mount the
To mount
switchboard.
it, okay.
Mount it, not the smart boards
smart boards
themselves.
themselves.
Yeah, the
Okay.
smart boards are already on movable carts.
Okay.
And so it's to take them off the movable carts and put them on the walls.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you to the Regency Park PTA. Recommend approval to adopt a resolution setting the elected real estate tax collector's compensation for the 4-year term commencing January 6, 2014, as attached.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that motion recommendation.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Do we need to do a roll call? Roll call. Thank you.
Mr. Dowdell?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mr. McGuff?
No.
Mr. McMasters?
Yes.
Mr. St. Ledger?
Yes.
Mr. Tomarello?
Yes.
Mrs. White is absent. Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Mr. Colella?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Recommend approval of Plan Con Part K, project refinancing of Series 2006 bonds, now known as Series B 2012 bonds.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the resolution authorizing preparation for sale and insurance of the general obligation bonds.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And I think it's for the issuance, not insurance.
I apologize.
That's okay. Just want to be clear.
Thanks.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the real estate tax assessment appeal settlement for parcel number 1242K268 for 2013 as presented.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The Finance Committee met on January 22nd, 2013. Mr. Dowdell will make this report.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Muscatello and Mr. Pastel attended the meeting to update the board and administration on the May's anticipated bond refinancing. The bonds permit capital expenditures on the school buildings of new schools, but it does not include the maintenance costs. The anticipated financing for the bonds will generate a savings to the district of approximately $6.6 million, with approximately $1.1 million going back to the state. The plan is to refinance in May with a closing date of June 16th, 2013. The proceeds of the plan to be used for the new school. We discussed the real estate tax collector report. So far, he's collected 94.3% of the budgeted taxes for this year. We also discussed the current and delinquent EIT and LST tax, and so far, the year-to-date collections exceeded our budgeted amounts. We also discussed the First Energy Solutions Friends and Family Rebate Program installation process, and this is a program that if people sign up for this to First Energy, the school gets a rebate, so we encourage people to sign up for the Friends and Family program. And finally, the committee was provided the electronic copy of the preliminary budget based on the building and department budgets recently received. A preliminary budget will be presented at the next finance meeting in February. That's all I have.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to accept the $551.57 from the Plum Borough Chamber of Commerce presented tonight.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Because this is a added item to the agenda, we will give the public an opportunity to make a comment if you so choose. Otherwise, any discussion from the board?
I'd like to thank them for doing it.
Yes.
Gratitude.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The next finance meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 19, 2013, at 6 o'clock p.m. in the high school boardroom. Policy Committee, Mr. Rich Zucco, Chair. Recommend approval to accept the following policies. Policy 606, Tax Collection. Policy 607, Tuition Income. Policy 610, Purchases Subject to Bid or Quotation. Policy 611, Purchases Budgeted. 613, Cooperative Purchasing.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make a recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? So I have a question, Rich. How many old policies, those with dates prior to 1990, do we still have left to clear out, or have we finally got through all of them?
I'm not sure. I'd have to actually pass that on to Mr. Rossi. I know we've got a lot done this year. We've got some more coming up. We're doing our best, and we're wading through them slowly but surely.
I've noticed you've cleared out a lot of the old ones, so I'm hopeful that we're through that.
Dr.
hump
Rossi's
now.
doing very well, and in my comment coming up here, we still have 915 at the solicitors to make sure we have it, all the dots and T's crossed, and we're also still have. We started on 614 payroll authorizations and
We
615.
still got to vote on the motion.
No, that we did the motion.
What?
We did the motion.
Did we vote?
We haven't voted on it yet.
No, we didn't vote. I made a comment.
Yes,
Did we vote on it?
We did not.
Oh, okay. My mistake. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, did we vote on that?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Okay.
So, so
Lost
anyhow,
track.
So during the last policy meeting, we did complete these ones for recommendation, and 915 school-affiliated organizations is still out for review, and we began working on policy 614 for payroll authorizations, 615 payroll deductions, and we're also looking into a new policy regarding our real estate tax collection. At the time of the meeting, we had our tax collector, Harry Schlegel, and we were considering a policy or some way of rectifying a situation that might occur occasionally, and that would be that someone would be fined tax penalties and interest on the real estate taxes through no fault of their own. And we think we might have to establish a new policy on that for certain reasons. There's not going to be any gray areas. What it basically referred to was that if our tax collector sends a bill to a wrong address or as an incomplete address, and there's not a lot of wiggle room, but we will accept responsibility. So we're looking into seeing if that should be an established policy, so we don't have to do that on a daily basis anytime that happens. But So far, Dr. Rossi has not found anything in the school board, Pennsylvania School Board Association's policy list. So we're looking to see if that's a necessary item or not. That's where we are right now, and our next meeting will be February 5th at 6 p.m. in the boardroom.
Now can we vote on the motion? So we seem to have a differing opinion as to whether or not we voted on the motion. So to be clear, we'll vote on the motion again. Keep the record straight.
Okay.
Real quick,
make a
recommend approval to
recommendation.
accept the following policies: 606, 607, 610, 611, 613.
I make that recommendation.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The Policy Committee met on January 8, 2013. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 5, 2013, at 6 o'clock in the high school boardroom. Transportation Committee, Mr. Tom McGuff, Chair, recommend approval to accept the substitute driver incentive plan as presented.
I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Mr. McGuff?
No.
Mr. McMasters?
Yes.
Mr. St. Ledger?
No.
Mr. Tomarello?
No.
Mrs. White is absent. Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Mr. Colella?
Yes.
Mr. Dowdell?
Yes.
Motion passes.
The Transportation Committee met on January 15, 2013. Mr. McGuff will make this report.
Have nothing to report.
Thank you. Athletic Committee, Mr. John St. Ledger, Chair, recommend approval to hire Clinton White as a ninth grade baseball coach at a stipend of $1,751, effective January 30th, 2013.
I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to hire Zachary Miller as a ninth grade girls volleyball coach at a stipend of $2,181.
On behalf of the committee, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommend approval to accept the following volunteer coaches: Kenneth Massey, high school assistant wrestling coach; Zachary Miller, high school volunteer boys volleyball coach.
On behalf of the committee, I'd like to make that recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The Athletic Committee did not meet this month. Mr. St. Ledger has a report.
Thank you. Just some announcements, really. School-sponsored physicals for spring sports will be offered on Thursday, January 31st, and Thursday, February 7th at the high school and at the junior high. More details are available on the athletic physical link on the school website. We're pleased to announce that Plum High School has been selected by the Positive Athlete Pittsburgh. This is the Heinz Award group that recognized Mia Petropola last year to be one of the sponsored schools. Rose Transportation has volunteered to sponsor Plum and will be providing certificates and T-shirts to recognize positive athletes at Plum High School. Finally, Mr. Bob Alpino has arranged for a presentation at the high school by Leslie Bonchi, Director of Sports Nutrition at UPMC Sports Medicine, consultant to the Penguins, Steelers, and Pirates, and is a member of the U.S. Olympic Committee Sports Nutrition Network. She is a nationally recognized expert on sports nutrition, weight management, and digestive health. This presentation will be geared to athletes of all ages and will be open to the entire community. There's no cost to attend. Please look for more information on the website and in the advanced leader, and mark the date of February 27th at 7 o'clock here in the high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. St. Ledger. Mr. Zuko, do you have a comment at this time about the football program?
Yes. I noticed half of the people in the audience seem to have already departed, and it's kind of hard to see with the lighting up here in our eyes. But I was going to ask if all those supporters for Coach Sacco could just stand up for a second so we could get an idea of how many there were in the audience. It looks unanimous. Okay. Thank you very much. And I would just like to comment that character is really determined during the hard times, not during the good times. And I would like to tell the football team and the program that I'm pretty proud of the way they hung in there despite their record. And like I said, there were a number of reasons, but I think developing the character in our young men is a very important item. And I thank you all for coming.
Thank you. The Food Service and Nutrition Committee, Mrs. Loretta White, Chair. The Food Service and Nutrition Committee did not meet this month. Intergovernmental Committee, Mr. John St. Ledger, Chair. The Intergovernmental Committee met on January 16, 2013. Forbes Road Career and Technology Center, Mr. John St. Ledger, Representative. Mr. St. Ledger will make this report.
Yes, thank you. We met last Thursday in our monthly meeting, and it was brought up that we had 13 of our students that attend Forbes Road received awards either from the Skills USA contest in various categories, such as emergency response, information technology, advertising design, and security. It's just, I'm pretty proud and impressed of that program over there, and proud that we had 13 students come in either first place or went straight to the state competition. That's it.
Thank you. Eastern Area Schools, Mrs. Loretta White, Representative. Recommend approval with a roll call vote to accept Resolution 2012-1, authorizing the use of a mail ballot and Resolution 2012.3, election of officers, as attached.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. McGough?
Yes.
Mr. McMasters?
Yes.
Mr. St. Ledger?
Yes.
Mr. Tomarello?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Mr. Colella?
Yes.
Mr. Dowdell?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Legislative Policy Council, Mr. Sal Colella, Representative. There will be no report this evening. Allegheny Intermediate Unit Number 3, Mr. Tom McGuff, Board Member. Recommend approval to support Tom McGuff as Allegheny Intermediate Unit Board Member candidate for re-election for the upcoming term.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? So if you get elected and you go to the conference in Hershey's, are you going to bring us back some Hershey bars this time?
I promise. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. McGough, is that similar to, do the elected board members for each district vote on the representatives?
No.
Okay.
No, what this is, you're giving me the opportunity to run at the convention.
I got you.
As a reelection, but it has to be, I have to be affirmed. Each of those that are running for a position have to be affirmed by their local board. So you're affirming my opportunity to run, and that would be at the convention in March.
And then
That would be another 3-year term that would start in July.
and the AIU representatives then vote there at Hershey?
No, in March, we all go to the convention. Okay, and at that convention, then everybody has a chance to vote. It's a weighted vote, interestingly enough, depending upon the size of our district.
Right.
But everybody is invited within the 42 districts of Allegheny County.
And I recall that we were there a few years ago.
Right.
When you were elected.
Right.
What I'm wondering is if we are unable to attend, are you able to vote by proxy?
I don't believe.
I don't think so.
I don't believe.
Okay.
But thank you. I appreciate the sentiment. I really do.
We need
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. McGuff will make this report.
I just want to say thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to represent our district into the bigger picture of Allegheny County, and a lot of information that we can glean from that. And I would just simply like to invite my peers, I'd like to invite you to a Stand Up for Public Education meeting. This is going to be free of charge, but this is on Thursday, February the 7th, down at the AIU. And the local legislators from all throughout the Tri-County area will be there and talking about the most important thing to us as being involved in an education team, talking about the finances, talking about how the state will be dealing with the education issue. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and this will be 2 days, I believe, following. This is the first one of these such meetings, legislative meetings. This will be 2 days after the budget is rolled out. So it'll give us a real good opportunity to have the ear of the local legislators to be able to tell them what we hope and what we expect for public education.
Tom, do you know the date of the March meeting?
The convention, you know what, I stand corrected. It's actually April 3rd, Wednesday, April 3rd.
Okay.
Wednesday, April 3rd.
Okay, thanks.
And I had one other thing. This is really for our citizens, and that is the Taxpayer Relief Act, known as Act 1, and that provides property tax relief to qualifying residents and homeowners. The applications were mailed out in December, and if you are not signed up for that, most of the people in Allegheny County would be, but if you're not, this is the opportunity for you to do that, to fill out that application and get this tax relief, and you have until March 1st. They're due at the Allegheny County Office of Property Assessments. Thank you. Thank you again for the vote of confidence tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. President's report, Mr. Andrew Drake. Mr. Drake will make this report.
Thank you. Mid-semester grades and report cards are finalized and available through the progress reports. A link is available on our website's main page under Quick Links. Parents with questions should contact their child's teacher with questions and concerns regarding grades or achievement, and the school office with the viewing issues. January is School Director Recognition Month, and we'd again like to thank a special thanks to the Plum PTA for the recognition dinner this evening. In February 18th, there's no school unless it's used for a snow makeup day. Spring pictures are scheduled for the last week of February, beginning on the 25th. Kindergarten registration for the 2013-2014 school year will commence on March 19th, 2013. All 5 elementary schools will conduct registration on Tuesday, March 19th through Thursday, March 21st, after which registration will be processed at the central registration office located inside the Plum Senior High School. Due to the spring musical, the February 26th and March 26th regular voting meetings will be held at the O Block Junior High School auditorium. And again, we'd like to express our thanks to those businesses who donated for the Chamber of Commerce Jingle Books event. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent's report. Recommend approval to accept the superintendent's report as submitted.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Public education has long been a cornerstone of America and a great equalizer that gives every child the hope of a better tomorrow. In our community, many dedicated individuals work to ensure that every child, every day, is given the education they deserve. Every year in January, we acknowledge a group of individuals who help run the schools in our community, the 9 elected members of the school board. These unpaid volunteers spend on average 20 hours a month in service, making the difficult decisions to keep our children educated. They vote on multi-million-dollar budgets, hire staff, select textbooks, and review curriculum, to name a few. As state funding gets tighter and our local tax base continues to fluctuate, the job of these 9 individuals has become much more challenging. Fortunately, our school directors meet these challenges head-on and make the difficult decisions for our students. They are our friends, neighbors, and community leaders that we have elected to be our voice in the school district. During January, I ask everyone in the community to take time in some way to thank a school director for their time and effort that they put into helping our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2 announcements this evening. A discussion session is scheduled for Tuesday, February 5th, 2013, immediately following the Education Committee meeting in the high school boardroom. The regular board the regular February board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 26th, 2013, at 7 o'clock p.m. in the O-Block Junior High School auditorium.
Second.
A motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.